What's going on, people? My name's Timmy Joe, making videos about computers that I've made for videos about computers on the internet. Today on the program, I made my own computer case from scratch. I designed a ITX case, okay, with a full-size graphics card, with a high-powered Core i7 in it, a hot one, and it was all designed around fitting the most computer into a tiny form factor and remaining overclocked, because that's what I like to overclock it all. Let's overclock the crap out of it. So we have my design case here, and it's not perfect. It's sort of a prototype. It's my first foray into literally designing a case from the ground up. My first foray into bending sheet. Well, I've bent sheet metal for repairing, but like auto body and cars and stuff like that before, but never intricately bending metal with a sheet metal brake to build a computer case that you can just let's go into it. So I 3D printed grills. Okay, I 3D printed fan grills. This is a big tube of air. It literally is designed for that. So there's 220 mil Noctua fans, the best fans on the market, in the front, and the outlet to 292 mil fans in the back with a proper graphics card. I also made myself pretty much. So we're gonna get into all the details in just a second. So well, if it just takes a second because there's really long screws. There we go. We're gonna take it apart, show you what's inside, and yeah, I'm a little excited, okay? Because I'm pretty proud of this thing. And the paint job's not great on it, because again, this is a prototype. There was some heartaches, there was some belly aches, and it takes a long time to make something like this, and I did it in a pretty short amount of time. So, case pops off, and here we go. So come with me on a journey. I'm gonna do a little montagey thing of how we got to here, and then, once we finish showing you how I made it, I'm gonna go ahead and test it out. Because there is a i7 in here, overclocked 4.7 gigahertz with a Noctua Tower cooler and Radeon 5700 with an aftermarket cooler on it that I will be showing, without a doubt, that the overclocks can be handled, the noise can be handled, and then I think I actually did a really good job designing my own ITX case, my own computer case, guys, from scratch, and coming up with something that I really am damn proud of. But, there could be some improvement, definitely, in the next iteration. And I will be doing another iteration. So come with me, join me inside the Timmy Joe case. So when I started this project, I knew I wanted airflow to be a big concentration. So 220 mil fans in the front really shaped the whole computer here, and put two 92s in the back and a full-size video card. So I got this fit in a box, from a Teepcool box, and it was perfect size. So I kind of shaped everything from there, did some measurements, laid out all of the measurements onto my sheet metal, and then I started cutting the sheet metal, and cut-off wheel or these tin snips, they just kind of left the metal all jagged, and I'd rather use the skill saw. It actually was a lot cleaner. Oh no, I dropped. Anyways, yeah, the skill saw was actually the cleanest way to cut it. I love a different way to cut it, like a smaller cutoff wheel or something, because it was hard, but then we use a sheet metal brake here. This is a legitimate tool I purchased to do this project. Like, it was $100, and I don't know if I'll get much use out of it otherwise, but it's hard to work with it, because you think you could do all the bends on it, but no, you can only do certain bends, because once you bend one thing one way, you can't bend the lips, so I had to get creative and use some of these vice grips with flat edges, and some body hammers I had from when I was in auto body school, and some different blocks and stuff like that to get everything hammered out, and use the brake where I could, but in this case I couldn't use it for the whole bend, so I kind of figured it out, and then hammer everything out, and then we rivet the case together, because that's after all how most computer cases are put together anyways. So we got my rivet gun out here and did some rivets, and once we got it all together, bang it into place, make sure everything's as smooth as it can, and then we get the lid cut out here, and I'm really starting to get the hang of the sheet metal and kind of figuring out how to use it. And this is pretty thick sheet metal, like this is thicker than on a normal computer case, but we made it work. And you know, get the edges up on this side so that we can start shaping the lid to the box, and even use the vise here to, you know, kind of shape some of the edges and stuff. When we started getting it all fit together, I started realizing I needed to kind of you know, put some slots in the lid so that we could get her fitted in right, and you know, do some of the edges so they're not sharp. And then we used the grills as templates to cut out circles in the case, and then I just did one cut with the cutoff wheel, and then I started using the saw from there, and it was very hard to get a perfect circle, obviously. I wish there was a better way to do this. There must be a better way to do this in metal, but we got her all cut out, and then I started working on the back, and I quickly realized that I had all this intricate work to do on the back, and I wanted to leave like very thin metal, and it really turned out very quickly for me to realize that I wasn't going to be keeping the sheet metal in the back that I wanted to. So that's why there's just a big gaping hole there, but it works out. You see, I got it all lined up, and I used a couple zip ties and stuff to keep the grills in place, and then I used the you know, grills as templates to drill the holes so we could actually screw everything in. We used sander here to make sure that everything was smooth and that the paint would adhere. Now I have a problem with the PSU here. I thought I could fit it in and actually like route the cable inside the case and plug it in so that, you know, I could kind of just have a cable hanging out the back of it, but no, I had to figure out a different way. So I used a Dremel to cut out some holes so that, you know, we could actually have the PSU hanging out the side there. Not optimal, but you know, you figure it out. So you get everything super cleaned off and wipe away any excess metal and, you know, dust. Got some auto body paper that I used to spray paint it on here, get it all cleaned up with Windex. I find Windex works good for because it evaporates pretty quickly. So then I wanted to do a paint scheme, and I had some red and blue paint, kind of the colors of the channel, but I didn't want to paint the whole things that color, so I taped down the middle here and created this like pattern underneath the white paint. But I actually didn't line the stripe up from the lid to the back that great, but hey, it works out. It's a little bit off because I measured it rather than putting the case together and then masking it off, but you know, you see it looks pretty decent in the sun here, and the paint line's not the greatest, but again, this is a prototype. So I had a button in like a box of guitar stuff. I don't know what it was for, but soldered that in. I thought that looked pretty good for an on switch on the thing, and I didn't want any RGB lights or any crap, and this thing is strictly meant for airflow. This is like a proof of concept for that. So we get everything dialed in. I actually wound up putting dust filters behind there eventually, instead of just having them naked like that. And then we get the power supply all, you know, put in there, and yeah, it's going to be sticking out the side, but whatever. And then I secured the standoffs in with these like cable tie things, these little plastic brackets that I screw the standoffs in. We get it all in here. We get the graphics card installed, and oh my god, even a SFX power supply has bad cable management. Jesus. But look at that, it's really starting to come together, and I made this bracket for the back to try and cover that hole where I was going to put the cable coming out, so that's fine. And then yeah, look at that, it's all pretty neat. We just actually screwed the SSD in from the back, get my standoff screwed in, and man, it really turned out well. I thought it really turned out well. So we got the Timmy Joe edition with the two NFA12 to X25 fans in the front. That's their high pressure, like really good for pressure environments. I believe that's what we're creating here. And two of the regular 92 mils in the back. And I love the video. I was going to put the blower on the video card, and I realized that I got to test it this way first before I go through all that trouble. And sure enough, the temperatures on the GPU are awesome, and if I put the blower on there, there's no way they'd be as good. So I'm leaving it as is. So we have like a wind tunnel, which can be loud. In fact, when I first set this up, it was very, very loud. Actually, the first time I tried to power this on, I had it all together, and it wouldn't start. And I put the wrong 8-pin cable on the power supply. I found a shorter one, and I thought it probably was shorting something out. Wasn't starting. Took it all apart, put it back together again, figured it out, started it up, and this motherboard, I don't know what it is, but it makes all the fans only, like the minimum you can put them to is 60%. So it was loud. It was very loud. And even if I put the fans to silent. So I went in there and I put the Noctua, on the NF12A X25 fan, the adapter that lets you have low noise, which cuts all of this down. And now it's very silent. It's actually not bad at all. And you might say, well, Timmy Joe, what's your overclock? What's going on here? Well, let's check it out. So 4.7 gigahertz, and we see we're going to see a core get up to probably 90 degrees. But I mean, it's no louder than my Ryzen system behind me, or the guy that just happens to have to mow his lawn outside right now. But I mean, it's 88. It's no problem. I mean, like this is 4.7 gigahertz. This is 4770K. 4.7 gigahertz, the max overclock I can achieve with this thing. It just won't go any higher, no matter what the volts or whatever. But I just have that the smaller Noctua on it, with I think it's got 6 heat pipes or maybe 5 heat pipes. It's a little tower cooler, but because of there's a decent amount of airflow that's always going through this thing, it's able to keep up, and we get 939 in Cinebench. That's perfect. But you might say, well, that's only a quick CPU load. Well, let's put on a Firestrike stress test then, and we'll see how things really get going. Alright, so we've been doing some things. We've been running Firestrike for quite some time now. I'm going to say, 10 minutes? We can check. Let's see. I've been recording for 9 minutes and 54 seconds, okay? So we have a GPU temperature of 77 to 79 degrees, which is completely acceptable with the Radeon 5700 that's in this, okay? Because the stock cooler will get this thing to 90, no problem. So we obviously don't have a thermal issue while gaming, but what if we want to stress it even further? Well, I'm going to do that, so hold on just a second. So it's not that loud, is it? I mean, I can hear both my computers. I got a big tower with a Ryzen behind me, my production system, and this thing. And this thing's a little bit louder, a little bit of a different pitch, probably because it's a damn wind tunnel, but it's not terribly loud, it's not annoying, and we're running a game right now. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fans in this thing. If you count the CPU cooler, the 2 graphics cards, and the 4 fans, that's a lot of fans that are all just working, and they're not working very hard. Again, I had to put little inline fan noise reducers on all the fans because they were way too loud before. To get it to this low, and it's not bad at all. So I'll even go behind it. That's not bad at all. Got a little lapel mic going on. So what can we do to stress things even further? Well, run Cinebench at 4.7 gigahertz while we run Firestrike. Let's do it. So we'll immediately see that one of my cores is going to get up there into the 90s, and it's going to be a little scary because we're at the max this 4770 can do. That's I got this really awesome motherboard. That's the deal I wanted to, I wanted to do an ITX, and for a real good deal, I did a video on it. I got this system, and you know what, for gaming, this thing can sure push 5700 to its limits. So this little gaming box is a pretty sweet, gaming-specific, gaming-focused computer. So we're not throttling on any of the cores. And, we're at 17, almost 1800 megahertz. That's what this thing's supposed to be running at. I got it overclocked to 1840. But, we'll never hit 18. Well, look, it hit 1840 just there. It's even going higher. There we go. So, and we're running a Cinebench run. We're starting to throttle. I was lying. So, I did this yesterday, And there we go. So what's going to be our Cinebench score? 653. I did this yesterday and it didn't throttle, but that was when I didn't have those dust filters in there. So they're obviously limiting the airflow just enough that near the end of a Cinebench run after I ran Firestrike, on a continuous loop for 10 minutes, then we had a little bit of throttling. But to get 653 well-running Firestrike and a bunch of monitoring software, that's really good. That's a 3770's stock performance. Like that's, the CPU's stock performance, well, nothing's running, and it's not overclocked. So it's pretty damn good. I'm going to seriously consider this thing a success. I mean, can you even hear it? Not really. And you know what? It's kind of ugly that there's a power cord sticking out the side of it. I understand that. Like, I didn't mean for that to happen. There's the power button, And I actually have like a 90-degree adapter that I thought I could put on that, but it faces forward. That was my whole deal, was that I thought I could, because I have to have the power supplies in there, right? So I had to have the power supply point a certain way so that the air would rush into the power supply and up and over it. I couldn't have it turn the other way, or it would be hitting like the back of the PCB and not getting any air. So everything was thought out well enough, but I don't know. If I was going to do this again, where would I put the power supply? Well, I'd maybe make the case wider or something. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, the space is well utilized, and the cables are in there in the way, but because there's nowhere for the air to escape on the side, it's not like the air is hitting the cables and then, being jutted out the side through a vent or something like that. And there's no, ventilation for the graphics card, and all the air's got to be forced out the back. And it's an awesome design. I don't think I've ever seen on a case before. And a lot of, I guess the standard idea of a case is this layout, but most cases these days have ventilation on the top to put fans to blow in, and most people don't even fill them up. Where this design here, where there's literally no, there's no way for there to be a positive pressure blowing out cracks and stuff like that, because it's all sealed up. I think it's a winner. It's super, super cool. Still at 79 degrees, and still getting 600 plus in Cinebench, 653 in Cinebench while we run a stress test in Firestrike. I think that's awesome. So this is the Timmy Joe edition case. And you know what? For a metal case, it's a little warm, but it's nothing too crazy. And it's a prototype. I think what I might want to do with this is scale it up just one extra level and maybe make it like this big so you could put a micro ATX board in it and properly fit the power supply so it vents out the back or something like that. And then, maybe put a glass panel on it and make the insides look good too. Or, I don't know, if, I like the idea that this wasn't some RGB, glowing, UFO sitting on my desk. It's a form over function kind of deal. And it looks pretty good too, except for how I didn't line this up. Alright, so the box is good, the box is fun, but I gotta be serious for a second, okay? You notice I did a lot of shilling for a VPN lately, and I'm done with it. I hate doing it. It's not something I'm into. I was talked into it, plus I really did need the money. I mean, and my Patreon has gone down about $70, $80 in the last couple of months because I haven't been begging people enough to contribute. So patreon.com/TimmyJoe. And I'd love to get this to a comfortable number to where I don't have to shill for some VPN I don't believe in, or I don't have to shill for some product that no one cares about in the middle of my videos, I'd really like to avoid that kind of advertising because it personally bugs me when I see other YouTubers do it. And I know it's like something that everyone does, but I don't want to be everyone. I want to do cool stuff like this. And to do stuff like this cost me $300 or $400 to do. Now, there's some tools involved, that I didn't have to buy, I could have maybe worked around or whatever, but to do stuff properly like this, it costs money, and I want to keep doing projects like this. And it's the generosity, you guys, going on Patreon. $1 or $2 a month is all I ask for. If you can do more, if you're financially able, it would really help me out. And if you buy through my Amazon affiliate links, that's a super, super help. Anything you can do. I do have t-shirts, funny t-shirts, if you can buy those. Although the profit margins on these for me is like nothing. Like I got $50 for selling like 50 t-shirts. So, yeah, anyways, so if anything you can contribute to the channel, that would be lovely. Keep stuff like the Timmy Joe box coming. I'm definitely going to be doing some more projects like this. And the generosity of you guys, like if you have anything cool, a viewer donated this, and I'm going to send it back to him, but it's a Fire Pro S10000. It's basically a 7990 GPU, a dual GPU 7970. So we're going to be testing this on the channel. And then, speaking of buying things with my own money, I did finally get my anniversary edition back from AMD. So I've got a new one anyways. And we're going to be testing that and putting an aftermarket cooler that Arctic sent me on it. So if you want to see cool videos like this, some stuff that costs money, like me buying video cards and whatnot, any donation to Patreon, or if you have a cool piece of tech, email me at timmyjoe.com or buy through my Amazon affiliate links. That would really help out me not shill for some VPN, because I know everyone does it. And I might have to do it again, but I really don't want to keep this thing afloat. This going down $80 a month like that was really an eye-opener. I was like, Jesus Christ, I better get on this. So at Watch Timmy Joe Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me along on Twitter, and I do post stuff all the time on Twitter that I'm up to and stuff like that. That would really be fun. But Amazon affiliate links, this, t-shirts, anything that can help make the channel grow and have a little bit more money here and there, that will be lovely. I need to do some more stuff like some live streaming so we can get some super chat money and stuff. Maybe get back into Discord. I am so bad for the Discord thing. I just spend way too much time on social media as it is, and Discord's another thing you have to be answering all the time, but I'm going to think about it. But that's it for the Timmy Joe box. Still running. It's still running Firestrike. Watch. Still. Let's check out the temperatures. It's at 80 degrees, the GPU, 81. So it caps out at 80 degrees. And we're able to run Cinebench, and it's not that loud. It's a little bit warm, but that's the Timmy Joe box, and this is not the last time you'll see me make a computer case, but any donation to Patreon will help this stuff happen more frequently and make it funner, because there's more money to play around with to buy extra stuff and do extra things. So I will see you guys in another video. Thank you very much for all of the help, all of the watching, and all of the support and the ideas on this as I posted on Twitter and stuff like that. Give me some suggestions and we'll do another one. I think I'm going to do a little bit bigger case next time, but keep this concept going where you have that locked airflow in there. Maybe do it 320 mil fans high, fit a micro ATX board and a proper power supply in it, and see what we can do with that. So I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks for watching, and keep it sleazy. And next week, this is priority number one, getting the review of the anniversary edition going on, because hopefully it doesn't break this time. I don't know. Thanks, AMD. Bye!